Where the hell did I leave that intro song again? Let's have a look. Hey everybody, welcome to the Orange Road. So that's been a long time since I said that, but hey, somebody asked me to do a video for the Alliance Open event, so yeah, here it is. I'll probably do another video at the live event because, well, making those videos is probably the thing I like doing most on this channel, so you can expect something else in the future. But today's video is going to be about something else. It's going to be about the lists of the Alliance Open. Now, you might be thinking, Blonde Bear, what the hell is the Alliance Open? Well, let me explain. A couple of times a year, before the COVID disaster, we had a very big tournament in our country, like I said, a couple of times a year, where all the big gaming systems show up and have a tournament, including the Night Age, one of the biggest events, booyah. But this year we had some issues with COVID, as you might understand, so this year it's been a bit slow. But now finally we have another big event. Awaken the Beast, I think it's called, which is a bit of a silly name, but who really cares? And yeah, we got I think 60 players, but hey, it's Corona time, so might be a Corona party and people will not show up. For example, the Belgian players might not show up, which cool, more beer for me because those guys drink way too much. But besides that, we have, like I said, around 60 lists. I didn't count. If you want to count, go ahead. The lists are on the forum. And we had another channel together with the hosts who did the entire list review. It's Bart's channel. Soul Reaver, I think, Soul Stabber, Soul Smiter, something like that. Which was a fun show to listen to. So I'm not going to repeat that. I'm not going to grab some other guys to go through all the lists. I'm gonna look at something I like, and those are the 5 lists which I found quite nasty. But not just nasty in a simple, oh my god, it's so potent, or it's so powerful, or it's OP. No, it's the kind of lists that can be surprising. So a couple of things I should mention. I'm not gonna talk about the Demon Legion lists, because if you're surprised by a Demon Legion list, it's because you haven't prepared for the tournament and you're an idiot. It's as simple as that. If you're going to a tournament with lists in advance, look up what all the upgrades do in the army and write it down on the list, so you'll not get surprised during your game, because there are a lot of different ways you can change the army, tweak it around. You should be prepared, and you should not hope or calculate on your opponent explaining it for you. You should be prepared enough to handle it. The other lists I'm not going to talk about are the dwarf lists, because we have a bit of a seeker spam issue in the country. I'm guilty as well. The last ranking event I went with, I took dwarves, I took a seeker spam list. It was easy. It wasn't fun because it was pretty boring. We have a couple of seeker lists. It's not gonna be a surprise if you've ever played against them. You put your army in, it gets shredded. Just don't go in there. There are a couple of really nasty seeker lists, but like I said, I'm just gonna skip them, because everyone in my country knows they're nasty. There's been enough discussion about them, especially about Rick's lists. I'm just gonna skip it entirely. So I'm gonna look at the 5 lists that I thought were cool or unusual or strange, but they were potent enough, and all these lists I think can probably win the event in the end. There are a couple of lists I think besides these 5, because I had to really cut down my top 5. 5 minutes ago I was still looking at 7 lists, because it's quite tricky to because the level of list is quite high, it's quite nasty. Like I said on the forum, it would probably have been easier to just pick the 5 worst lists, the 5 weakest lists. But yeah, trying to find the real cheese, the real nastiness in these lists, yeah, it was tricky. And at the end, you also slowly start getting to your own personal preference. So yeah, first up that I'm going to talk about is Mr. Highborn Player, the former High Chef, the master of disaster, Stefan's list. So here we have Stefan's list. Now I already know what people are gonna think. Stefan's list with the Highborn Ls? Really? Really? Are you insane? Are you stupid? It isn't a problem because it's Highborn Ls. Well, screw that. I know that a lot of Highborn players like to smoke the same pipe about, oh, we are so weak. Fuck it. This is a great list. And I already can hear people typing down in the comment section, yeah, but Sword Masters only have a 5-up save and a 6-up Aegis, the resilience tree. I'm just gonna shoot them down with my bows and magic missiles and my war machines, and then I'll just have a massive win. Well, no, because you're an idiot. You're not gonna hit the Sword Masters. And even if you hit them, it won't do a lot. Why? Simple. Divination is going to give him a lot of protection on these guys just by the spell selection he has. He can also heal models, which can also help bring him back. He can make him tougher, and he has quite a bit of counterfire to shoot you back. But still you say, oh, but I'll just shoot him down. No, because if you shoot them down, the phoenixes will probably ruin the game for you. Even if you don't shoot them down, the phoenixes will probably ruin the game for you. These guys are insane at the moment, especially in a list like this. They are so bloody fast. It's almost insane how fast they can go. I mean, they have a fly of 9 and 18, which, yeah, is pretty damn fast. He also gave him the Warden's Bond, which I know people say, oh, it's kind of expensive. No, it's not. Because the guy suddenly has a couple of extra attacks. Maybe not that important for you as his opponent, but what's really, really, really tasty is that it also gets +1 discipline. So it goes through leadership 9 and it gets martial discipline, which means that when it gets next to you, it might actually pretty much guarantee pass that march test and just keep on flying while it's burning off all your little toys. And even if you kill it, thanks to that little nice guy on top, on 3+, it gets back with a wound. And like I said before, this list can heal. So it's a really, really resilient list, even though on first glance it might look like an extreme glass cannon list, but it really, really, really isn't. Sword Masters, yeah, they are a bit sensitive for range damage, but like I said, he can compensate with the rest of the list here, and the Sword Masters on their own, they strike pretty damn hard. I mean, 2 attacks each with strength 5, they still get that nice +1 to hit modifier. They have really, really tasty weapon skill, 6 and 6 for defensive and offensive. Oh, these guys are tasty. He also has plenty of scoring in the list, because the Sword Masters can push forward, and with the Sea Guards, the Citizen Archers and the Reavers, he can actually shoot down quite a bit. I really, really think this list is really great, even against some of the lists that I'm being called out as the lists that will win the event. I think this list has a really, really potent counter on it. Seeker spam, Phoenixes can be quite annoying. So, War Machines, yes, options to shoot back as well. It's a really, really good list, and I think Stefan will get a pretty damn good result with this list when he's done. This is probably one of the scariest lists I've ever seen him play, and I think it's going to be the sleeper hit of the event. Because A, it's unusual, and B, it's just really, really sneaky good. So next up, this will be a surprise for a lot of people, I think. Because a lot of people think he's actually a really nice and sweet guy. But they are wrong. I'm talking about Sam Janssen, the guy who is always so friendly. He always looks so friendly, he acts friendly, he looks nice. But then you hear the stories from his opponents about the king spam, the monsters, the painful feeling on the table. And then you start to realize that inside that friendly gamer is a cold-blooded skink killer, probably wearing his skin as a suit, a flesh suit. This might sound weird, but yeah, I think Sam is one of the lists here that, yeah, if you look past, if you just you walk by the table, you think, oh, it's a fun-looking Sword and Ancient list. It has a bit of everything. There's a couple of big blocks, there's a couple of monsters, but no, this is not a casual list. I think it's a very, very tooled down, tinkered list that just perfectly fits Sam's playstyle and will probably surprise you if you've never played against it or something similar. Let's start at the top. The Saurian Warlord on the Alpha Carnosaur. We all know it. He's got the Starfall Shard. We all know it. We all hate it. Let's be honest to ourselves. It's just kind of ridiculous. Nobody likes having such a nasty little guy on the table and then just not being able to shoot it down. It gives him hard target and flaming attack, I guess, for just in case you didn't know. And again, you should be ashamed if you don't. But then we get the unusual stuff. But probably will make people think, oh, what cool. He has 3 skink captains. Yeah, it's fun. A skink captain is a pretty cheap ass dude. I think a lot of people don't really appreciate what it actually does on the table. We're talking about a 75-point model, which is pretty damn cheap, who has a 5-up armor save from itself, only 2 wounds, but still 3 attacks, decent defensive and offensive skill, and strength 4. But you can also really tool them around. In this case, Sam has still kept them pretty cheap, but there's a Dragon Staff and there's an Egg of the Quetzal on 2 of them, which means these guys can actually do quite a bit of combat damage, because one is just a standard red weapon from Dragon Staff, but the Egg has that D3 plus 2 strength hits. So that's a quite little tasty combination, especially since these guys with the Obsidian Rock and the Aether Icon and the Skink Priest will all go in the big Skink Brave unit. Why? Well, because Sam likes his cold-blooded synergy. That unit is gonna be really big. It's gonna have parry because it has shields, but it also has hatred and it also has poison. So I've seen this unit on the table and I have been surprised by what it can do. I lost an entire unit of Lion Guard with a Spear Prince to a unit like this. It can be so damn potent, so really potent. And I have seen people just shove units in there and just be, what just happened? So I think this is one of the more nasty lists, and especially because the rest of the list is also really good. 30 Skink Braves, 3 Caimans, usually not really the best pick, but still in this setup with the other big block, I really enjoy it because it gives him a couple of higher strength attacks with a bit more armor piercing that he can hide in the unit. Then he has some Raptor Riders, which, fast scoring, cool, they're a bit resilient. Then some Snake Swarms with Scout, just to harass the opponent in the backlines. Chameleons, can't go wrong. Sentries with Poison Javelins, more chaff, more annoyance. Salamanders against the other big blocks that he really doesn't want to fight. A lot of people would have gone for the other one, the shooting variant, but I think the bread weapon in this list is the right pick, because you want to mow down the other big blocks so your Skink Brave can go kill and hunt elite shit. And Stegosaur with the Mythic Traveler. Usually again, not a fan of the upgrade, but hey, he has no Quetzal, just a cheap Skink Priest, so I think the Mystic Traveler upgrade is really worth it. And then a Sun Engine, because why not? It will help out as well. Really nice list. I think it's probably the result of playing the list well and just tinkering it till he got where he wanted it to be. Really potent list, really dig the list. I really hope I don't have to play the list as well, but with my luck, I'll probably have to face it. So Sam, like I said, I think it's a very unique list. It's a very cool list. You just have to find a cool replacement for the Saurian Warlord on the Alpha Carnosaur, and you'll be best boy from the Saurian Agents, in my opinion. Alright, next list. Next up, the first of the Belgian players. So, I'm not even certain this guy is gonna show up, because he might not be able to get back in Belgium if he comes to our plague-struck country. So, Hadrian is playing the Infernal Dwarfs. I wasn't quite certain if I should add this list to my top 5. This is one of the ones I've been really struggling with. But the book has just been updated, and that adds a little bit to the sneakiness, because a lot of people will just have no idea what the army does, because a lot of people are lazy. You're probably lazy. I'm lazy. For certain I'm lazy. So yeah, let's talk about the list and where I think the potent little tricks of the book are hidden. And it all starts with a semi-cheap wizard. Because, yeah, Harm, I heard you talk shit about that my master was cheap at 360 points. Yeah, this guy is 80 points more expensive. But hey, he's pretty damn tough. Even though he's naked, I think that people will underestimate how resilient he is. Because he still has a 5 resilience. And he has a 4 up armor save, which, hey, isn't that bad. Now, he's an alchemy wizard, so you're probably expecting, oh, alchemy should be safe with my elves. I don't have any armor, nothing for you to mess around with. Not really. Because he's a prophet of Asherok, which means whenever he casts a spell from alchemy, he can decide to just shoot the pyromancy attribute and do some nice D3 wounds around, which is pretty handy to have around. But also, just having alchemy, just making stuff flammable in combat in this list is gonna be pretty damn tasty. Now, he didn't take a nasty surprise on the Vice here, which I think is a shame, but on the other hand, he's keeping his characters pretty cheap. It's just 180 points for a BSB. Again, it's pretty resilient. Then he has the Vessel Conjurer, which is your Hobgoblin Wizard or Human Wizard. Sorry, Edward, I don't. The background on this one, it's fine. It's the Vessel, whatever you want to make it. He has the Essence of a Free Mind Wizard Adept, and he has either Witchcraft or Pyromancy. Again, really tasty combo, because with this list you can do some really sneaky tricks with Witchcraft. Especially with, it's really hard for me to just give away all the secrets of the list, but Witchcraft is really tricky to have with this list. And Pyromancy, again, always handy to have. Then let's have a look at those 2 units of 12 Infernal Warriors with the Blunderbuss. The Blunderbuss has gone through some changes through the years. Now it's just a quick to fire, range 18, strength 3, AP 1, area attack 2 times 1 shot, and he can reroll once when shooting. That's quite a mouthful. What you have to think about when playing with this list, that yeah, you might think, dwarves aren't so fast, so Infernal Dwarves aren't that fast. No, because these guys will just walk 9 inches forward, and then they have quick to fire, so no penalty, and have that 18-inch range for a nice, really big 27-inch range shot. Yeah, that's quite nice. And it's only strength 3, but against certain armies it will just bang, 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 especially against semi-low armored, semi-low resilience, big blocks. They can really take out quite a bit of punishment. Also, don't just think that they'll just rush in there, because still the stand and shoot can also be quite nasty. So these guys will just walk around, shoot a bit, be scoring a bit. That's basically their role, but don't underestimate their shooting. Really, Also, don't see them as the old Infernal Dwarf Warriors, because these guys are better. They have Infernal Armor Standard, so they'll have 4-up save, no worry. Really tasty. So it makes them pretty resilient, pretty shooty. I really like this unit to mess around with. It's a really good pick. But that's not everything. He also brought a really big block of 26 Infernal Warriors. They have the great weapon, they fight in the extra rank and everything else. And of course Flaming Standard. So these guys will be strength 5. They aren't as big as I would like to see him, but it's still quite a lot of attacks. Even if he doesn't go in the line formation, I would probably play them like not in line formation, to be honest, but that's Hayden's personal taste. Also depending on whatever doofus he's playing against. But it's a lot of attacks, and the Flaming Standard with the Alchemy, really tasty combo. Then we have the Shackled Slaves, and Shackled Slaves. They are your semi-orc unit. They have resilience 4, they have crappy defensive stat. I don't think he has given them anything else except paired weapons. They only take paired weapons, by the way. So it's still an offensive skill of 3, which is better. 2 attacks. But they are really tasty to have nearby another unit of Infernal Dwarves. And he has plenty. Because they have Discipline 4 on their own, but they get 9 from the units within 6. It's pretty damn tasty. And they get some extra bonuses depending if something else is near. So they can give the blunderbusses, for example, battle focus, which yeah, that's tasty. And you can also use them to take dangerous terrain tests, etc, etc. Read this on your own. I mean, just take your time, read it, because you'll play Infernal Dwarves one of these days and you should probably know what it does. So besides giving a bonus to the units near them, they also get a bonus that they can gain battle focus, and they can reroll from memory charges in the charge phase. So this is a block, and it's not even that expensive, don't forget it. It's like 125 points of dudes that have battle focus when they're nearby a dwarf unit. They support a dwarf unit, and they also have enough attacks to actually do something. They're a little bit resilient, so they can be a combat swinger. They're insignificant as well. Don't underestimate these guys. You can use them to support the army in several ways. Then, let's get to the cheese. Disciples of Lugar. Let me get the name straight. It's probably the only thing straight about the new Infernal Dwarf book, because it's banned. I'm just kidding. Just teasing Wommy. Probably send me a PM later tonight. Let's see. The Disciples of Lugar. They are... I don't want to call them the Seekers of the Infernal Dwarfs, because I don't think that's doing them justice. They are quite different in their own way. They are fast. Faster than your average dwarf, because they have an advance of 4 and a march of 12. So like I said, they go fast. They have a certain power up they can use. A lot of Infernal Dwarf players will just turn it on as soon as they can. Gives them Fearless, Volcanic Embrace 1, which means everything in combat gets a strength 4 hit. But they do lose 1 AP and 1 offensive skill. So a smart player would just use it whenever he needs it. I'm gonna guess Strauss is in that category, even though he's from Belgium. But other players would just turn it on. Keep it in mind that that's an option, so he can change the use of the army. Then he just has 1 with great weapons, which, hey, they have 2 attacks, strength 6. AP2 becomes AP4 if he doesn't use the power he has of the Pact of Fire. He has AP4, if he does use it, he has AP3. Now he has a can opener unit. He can also just take the paired weapons. Then he has 3 attacks a guy, strength 4. With the other strength 4 hit, it's all flaming combo synergy. It will hurt and it will hit like a truck. So it's a really nice little unit. Another important thing a lot of people don't realize: A, they are scoring, so they're not your typical seeker, like I said before, but they also have faint flight, which is you can just turn around and run away and be even more annoying. So yeah, Disciples of Lugar, really, really good pick. Then we go to the gunnery teams, and he took them with the Ether Cloud. Now, an Ether Cloud is not just some smelly Infernal Dwarf fart, it actually does something on the table, which I always will have to look up, which you should as well. Let's see, if you take a panic test, you take any panic test at -1 discipline, and if you hit something with a wizard, they lose 1 field token. You can do some fun stuff with that, especially since he doesn't have that much of a potent magic phase himself. Without the old item of the Infernal Dwarfs, you can steal field tokens. Now you can just shoot, and you can do it twice because he has twice taken care of 2 field tokens. Can really hurt someone's magic phase. Really, really a nice option to have, even though it's not as basic as "I'll just shoot everything nearby." The shooting itself, the rocket thrower, it's a tasty little thing to put on the table. It has changed a bit, which does help. It lost the clipped wings, for example, but it's still 4 shots. It's still strength 6, AP 3 from memory, multiple wounds, D3. If you're playing against a monster, Mashy list, or ogres, oh god, if you're playing against ogres, you can just take care of massive units. Yeah, the rocket batteries can be a pretty nasty little surprise. Then we get to the Vessel Cavalry, and do not think that this is just a fast cavalry unit. Don't make that mistake. These guys are so good to have, and I mean that in any way possible. Probably one of the best units in the Infernal Dwarf book. Why? Well, they have a decent armor save 4 up, and they're your typical fast cavalry shit, feint, flight, etc, etc. They still get the bonuses from being bound or broken, so they can even go in combat if you want, and actually maybe even do something, but that's not really the trick. The trick is that they have the oil skins and they have bows. It's always fun to have bows. I mean, just take a couple of pot shots, but the oil weapons, ooh, the oil skins. He can make shit flammable. That's pretty much it. So if he hasn't marched, he can shoot the oil skins or dip him, I don't know. Strength becomes 1, but if you get hit, you get an incendiary marker, which means your ass is burning, your ass is flammable, and he has so many options in the list to make that the burning sensation up your butthole just go up and up and up and be really annoying. Fortunately, he only brought 1 unit, because I really rate these guys really well. Really good list, really potent thingy. Take care of them. Don't underestimate them. They are great stuff. Then we get to the Kadim Titan. It's not the Kadim Titan that it used to be. It's not the ultimate combat lord on the table. Not the biggest, baddest monster. It's still okay. It brings a lot of support elements with its searing heat, so it gives a bit more with the Volcanic Embrace, a little bit more damage. It can still take fire. But yeah, like I said, it's more of a support piece which can be potent. So don't just focus all your shooting at the Kadim Titan. I know that's your gut reaction from Warhammer 8th edition. Oh my god, there's a Kadim Titan, I must kill it before it kills my army. It is not that bad anymore. It's a bit of a, in 40k they call it a distraction carnifex or whatever they call it. I call it Kadim Titan. It's annoying, it's potent, but don't get mad when you see it on the table. It's not the worst thing in the list. You'll probably just push it a bit forward, put some pressure, because the thing can put pressure on stuff, especially with a couple of those markers or a bit of flaming stuff going on. But yeah, don't worry too much. Then the last piece, the Infernal Engine. Such a complicated thing to look in the book. It lost parry. Poof, that helps a lot. It's the Rock Crusher Infernal Engine, which means it has D3, impact or grinding hits, not impact hits. It's still d6+1, just d3 grind attacks on strength 6. So you just pick your 3 dice, you divide by 2. I know it's tricky for a lot of us, but just divide it by 2. That's the amount of strength 6 hits you're gonna get. It's pretty nice. Yeah. The thing itself, it's still unbreakable. It's can move a bit, it can harass a bit. Again, read the rules of this model because it's complicated, and I don't want to spend my time wasting explaining on you how it exactly works. Just check the full steam ahead rule if you're playing against him. If you're playing Strauss, just ask him to explain, because it doesn't work the way you probably think it does. So this is a support piece with a decent armor save, really tasty resilience of 7, so it's almost getting to that broken Sphinx level. I mean 7, 8 difference, it's getting really close. 6 wounds, it's tasty, it's good, and it's probably one of the things he will anchor his entire list around. So again, he can play this list in a couple of ways. He has so many options in the list itself to counter against opponents' playstyle. He has different tools against different situations, and he can use the tools in different ways as well. This is why I've still taken this list as one of the top 5 nasty lists, and if Hadrian shows up for the event, it's a big if, top 5 I think at least. Alright, time for the next list, because I've talked enough about the Belgium Menace. Well, let's talk about Luke's Vermin Swarm list, because he'll be disappointed if I didn't put him in the top 5 with his cheese. I mean, we don't have a lot of Vermin Swarm players, it seems, in the country, with just 2 of them actually showing up for the event. But yeah, there's always a cheese player who out-cheeses the cheese player. Sorry Nick, you're not it. No, we're gonna talk about Luke's list. And yeah, I've seen Luke play quite a bit recently, and he's been tinkering with his lists a lot, not a bit, I mean a lot. I mean, he's been chasing around a lot. And this list is his latest iteration of his Vermin Swarm cheese. And I think probably one of the nastiest, probably been taking up some of the other cheese he found at the Oko event, just grabbing it, eating a bit, letting it mold, letting it get real soft, and then just smear it over his models. Yeah, I love this list. So, let's start at the beginning. He has taken a Plague Patriarch as his general on the Plague Pendulum with a Plague Flail, and he's tried to keep him cheap somewhat, so just the Alchemist's Alloy for a little bit more protection. Maybe not the best setup I would prefer, but hey, it works. But then we get to the nice stuff. Because he's Occultism and an apprentice, what I think he's going to do, he's going to take this nice little Plague Pendulum, this little clown car of disease and pain and suffering, shove it into the Plague Brotherhood, shove the entire unit forward, and just start spamming the spells from Occultism. I mean, the ranged spell is quite annoying for Vermin Swarm, unless you're not in range, which I think is quite tasty. Then he has a Plague Patriarch, which he will also shove in the unit with the paired weapons with Swarm Master. So, has that nice little extra weapon skill, ignores parry, and 3d6 attacks with battle focus and hatred and everything else. And you might say, yeah, but it's only strength 3. Yeah, but if you do enough strength 3, if you throw enough shit at a wall, something will stick. The Dragon Staff, just a nice little extra combat buff boost CR grind machine. He's got a couple of those systems in his list, and yeah, really nice little trick. Then we have his chief. It's the pretty basic setup, really anti-magic, and he's just gonna put that into the Vermin Guard unit with Lightning Rod. Not my favorite position. I don't think he should have spent so many points, but on the other hand, magic resistance doesn't cost anything in the game, so who really cares? Then he has a wizard added on Thaumaturgy with 3 dark shards, again bringing even more magic options, more ranged threat. Really tasty. And then we get to the Wreckage Machinists, and oh boy, have people been sleeping on those guys. I think Craig from England might be the first one that's been really actively promoting them. Could be wrong here. There's probably some guy in Poland who's like, no, you Willem, I was the one who first designed it. Fine. But yeah, it's a nice little guy to add to your army. So the guns, yeah, they're fun to have. Don't underestimate them, by the way, because it's still strength 5, not strength 4, strength 5, quick to fire, and magical attacks, 2 shots, range 12, pretty damn tasty. But that's not where you're bringing them. You're bringing them because they're gonna go on the Reckonist Machinist, and those have 2 special attacks. One, it's a red weapon, strength 3, AP 0. Flaming attacks. You might think, that's not that bad, right? No, but you can use it a lot. You can use it every player turn, which means 6 of them, at least. Quite nasty to have. And you can still also use the guns, just to be clear. Or you can just use the D6 range 18 strength 2 shots that will hit automatically. So, bang bang bang, quite little potent range damage. But I am going to assume that he's going to pick these guys and shove them in the Plague Disciples. So Plague Disciples are like these massive, well, massive, they're vermin's form, so they're small, cracked up on cocaine rats who just want to destroy everything. They're really nasty. Big units are, again, pretty nasty. The toxic attacks, the high strength attacks, the hatred, the battle focus, and then he adds the 2 mechanists as well. So he also adds a red weapon, also has a stamina shoot. It makes them even worse. Those 2 units can take a giant beating compared to the rest of the Vermin's Form army and do a shit ton of damage. Yeah, you might think, oh, but their discipline doesn't matter because he has the Plague Patriarch, he has the giant unit of Plague Brotherhood, because there's the big ass boss, the disease boss in there, making them even stubborn as well, or steadfast a lot of the times. Really good pick. And then he has 2 units of Gutter Blades because he's going to want to take down enemy war machines, because the list doesn't really enjoy getting shot at with cannons, but he has so many range potential options to take care of that. And then he also has 2 Dread Mills, so even if you have something really scary with high armor, the Dread Mills can take care of it. Monsters, cowboys, infernal dwarf, tanks, whatever, the Dread Mills are a solution. So again, this list is not gonna be a surprise for a lot of people that I picked this list, because it's a nasty list, and it's all around, it's decent in pretty much every phase of the game. And they haven't even talked about the lightning rod, and there are so many little tricks you can do with the list. Really nice list. He doesn't have a vermin demon, which I fully respect. Go Luke, I'm proud of you. So he doesn't have that easy play that the other Vermin's Form players can play, because playing a vermin demon, yeah. But still, really potent list, really good list, and I think Luke will. He has done really great with Vermin's Form in team events, especially in Belgium. I don't really know how well he's been doing in the local scene, but yeah, this is the list that I think will get him quite far in the event, especially because I don't see that many bad matchups in this tournament. Alright, time for the last list, and there can be only one person in my local scene who I could end this video with, because he is the master of disaster. He makes the nastiest list possible. He is somewhere broken. I don't know what happened. He just likes making people suffer at the table, I guess, because his lists are always really tight, really nasty, outside of the box. It's not really like that. We're talking about Rainier, by the way. It's not really that Rainier is playing outside of the box. It's more like he's picking up the box and smashing your face in. That's pretty much how he designs lists. So let's have a look at his list. Right, let me drag his list from whatever infernal hell it spawned from. Renier's playing with the Dread Elves. It's a list he's been messing around with, giving people phobias and nightmares and just disappointment in their own life choices. He's playing a Dread Elf list, which can probably be described as the Chariot list, or the Burning Chariot list, or oh my god dude, why are you playing this? Are you even enjoying the game yourself? It's a really tasty list. So let's have a quick look at what it is, because it's not that complicated to explain, but I still think people will think they have a counter, and they are thinking wrong. So he has a Dread Prince General on a Raptor Chariot. So far, so good. He has a heavy armor with the Basalt infusion. You're like, alright, that's cool. It's cool having a character on a chariot. I mean, those are getting rare, right? Yeah. We should have made them more rare as RT. So, because the guy has a resilience of 5 up, so you're taking that elf weakness of resilience 3, you just put a red X to it, and you make it resilience 5. The heavy armor and the shield means he has a 4 up, because he's a chariot, he gets a 3 up, gets a 2 up, base fusion gets a 1 up. Tasty. Really tasty. Then he also has the Midnight Cloak, which it gives him a 3 up Aegis save against ranged attack, and it gives him multiple wounds D3 on the charge. Because he has the blessed inscriptions on the lance, means that this guy, this Dread Prince, is really reliable with his damage output, and has a massive damage output as well. This guy can take care of a lot of stuff just on his own. I'll talk about something else a little bit later, because people think, yeah, but he needs to charge, devastating charge. We'll get to that. Then he has another captain on a Raptor Chariot. Again, pretty decent armor save. I should also, by the way, hint at the possibility that he's playing the Cult of Yemma. So he has Strider, +1 advance rate, +2 march rate. Which, yeah, Strider on chariots, so oh no, dangerous train test, who gives a shit? Not Rainier. And don't forget, +1 advance rate, +2 march means that his chariots can actually move at different speeds. His advance rate becomes 8, but his march becomes 9. Pretty big increase on something that also is mobile in different ways, like Swift Stride, and also has the Scent of Blood special rule. And now you're probably asking, Scent of Blood? Doesn't really make out for movement, but when he's in combat, it's Fearless and Frenzy. Remember that you might need to take advantage of it. But yeah, the chariot on its own, pretty mobile. Especially since he has several, which you can probably see at your screen now. So the BSB one is somewhat cheap, or cheaper, because it only has a 5 up Aegis from Talisman of Shielding, but it also has the Banner of Blood. And here we are getting to the nastiness of the list, because model parts without harnessed in the bearer's unit gain devastating charge, +1 attack. He's gonna take all those little chariots, shove them all together in a unit, and then he's going to start charging, because he has a pretty damn high movement, and he'll probably get some charges off, especially with the other parts of the list. But you're right, alright, it's just 1 +1 attack. If he has 4 chariots, it's like a couple attacks extra. What's the biggie? Well, 1, like I said before, the guy, the lord, the general, does several attacks with multiple wounds. So that will become, each potential extra hit will hurt even more. But what people will also probably forget is that the Raptor Chariot actually has 2 crew members riding it, even when he puts a character on there. So that's 2 attacks extra. And those are still guys with an offensive skill of 5, a strength of 4, with a strength of 6 on the charge, because they have a lance. It's a lot of damage that's coming out there. Then he has another captain, another Raptor Chariot. This time he has the heavy armor with the Alchemist Aloe. It's cheaper, getting up to that nice little low save for the 1+, does force through the rollable, And then he has these three guys as the complete center part of his list. He can put them either separate, and then they become annoying to deal with. He can combine them in one unit. He can add a hunting chariot if he wants, whatever he wants. It can be quite nasty, really fast. And I know that people in our scene think they can just charge it and they won't have impact hits, they won't have the extra bonuses, and ha. I think people are underestimating how potent this unit still is if he's deploying them as a unit, because it's all resilience 5. It has a lot of wounds, has a lot of armor, and it has a lot of attacks. Even without the charge, it can still hit pretty damn hard. The raptors are still attacking, the crew is still attacking, the characters are still attacking. So even if he doesn't get the charge, it's not that big of a problem. And if he gets the charge, he can probably destroy every unit that's at this event. I would really have to struggle to think about something that it will not be able to kill really fast. Then he has Corsairs with the Banner of Speed, mostly just getting there, keeping up, getting objectives, supporting. Nice. The Dread Legionnaires, yeah, bloop. The Dark Acolytes, they're here for his magic. It's not a lot of magic, but they have the spells that you can really use in a list like this. I mean, they're always great, those guys. Yeah, they are expensive, but they are also bringing options to the list. He doesn't have to take a magic character, so he can save points there, and it's just tasty. So he can use the Crippling Fatigue, is a great spell to put on the Dark Acolytes. The Ice and Fire gives him a bit of magic support if he wants on ranged. Altered Sight can make a difference against more elite units. But the Yama one, yeah, Pentagram of Pain can be nice. Breath of Corruption, he has so many targets for it. Grave Calls, more damage potential. And these guys can also, well, they can pretty much outfight all the other chaff. I mean, they're awesome. Awesome guys, really potent. Then he also brought the what's it called? The Dark Altar, Divine Altar. Yeah, it helps against shooting a little bit. I mean, the 6-up Aegis, it's not great, but it does help. But what it's really nice is that within 12 inches, he can give everyone that nice, sweet, maximized roll on the charge phase. So with Swift Stride, getting it even better. And again, he can give Death Trance also out. So even if you think you're charging, it can still be more killy than you expect it to be. Again, I can't repeat this enough. I do not think that people should underestimate how incredibly potent this unit is. It's everything in the list works around and supports this massive block of chariots. Also, the hunting chariots themselves, I know a lot of people are like, they're mostly there for support. No, yeah, they are there for support, but it doesn't even have to really use them in cohesion with the chariots characters. He can, but he doesn't really need to, because they have their own purpose as well on the list, because they bring a little bit more shooting support. I mean, it's still a strength 7 shot. It still has D3 wounds against clipped wings, so if there's a mobile dragon on the table, it gives him an option to shoot it down. It's not the best war machine, but it's not expensive, and it really helps the harpoon to pin scary flyers or just kill them with shooting. I mean, 3 harpoons that will hit on 3+ is, again, pretty tasty, but it's accurate. I think it's a really solid support in the list to bring some really potent shooting, and the combination with more chariots, it's just so damn tasty. Then to round up, he has a piece of chaff in the form of Medusa, but don't kid yourself, everything except the chariot star, the characters in this list, is potential chaff. But the Medusa is probably the best pick for it. It helps with his sneaky petrifying stare rule that it can have an additional rank when it gets into combat compared to the opponent, for the purpose of disrupting steadfastness shit. which helps against the impact shenanigans from the chariots. Just make certain that someone's not that fast and just keep on pushing, keep overrunning into next units and just keep crushing it. Deceptive Glamour, yeah, it's a nice spell to have as well, but it's mostly, I think, the Petrifying Stare to really help out. And I think this is probably the list to beat at this event. I don't know if I actually even lost a game with this list. Not that I know. Really solid list, and I think it will probably end table 1 at the end of the event. We'll see. Alright, that's enough of me talking about the 5 lists that I found scary, trying to explain why I find them scary. I'm probably missing shit, I'll be honest. Nobody knows the list as well as the guy that's playing it, or girl that's playing it. Go feminism. Yeah, this is it. It was fun. Fun to record a show again for the first time, and I don't know when. Actually had to get rid of some of the dust in my equipment. So when I go to the Alliance Open, if the Alliance Open is actually open and not closed thanks to COVID, I'll also do some recording at the event, and also will have a look after the event and see where these 5 lists ended up, and I'll try to also see against what lists they triumphed and what lists they lost. I think it will be really interesting because, well, they can't all 5 end at the top table. Something somewhere has to give. Again, there are also other lists that I found really scary, but those were either scary because the book is just potent. These are the lists I thought that were unusual in certain ways and did something that I thought was cool. So I've been making some jokes about some of the players here, but keep in mind I picked their lists because I think their lists are cool and I have a lot of respect for those lists. Alright everybody, see you on the next show, I hope, you never know, of the Orange Road. Bye.